All right, hello everyone. Welcome back. I am back behind the wheel again after a brief vacation to had a wonderful surfing trip down in Costa Rica, but I am back here and back ready to play some amazing games, and we've got a great one for you here today. We are playing Full Send, written by Laurie O'Connel. It is a game of doomed mountaineering, which is just a great tagline for any game. So I'm excited to learn more about it, and we've got the writer Laurie O'Connell here to tell us about us and take us through a quick summit. I am going to, however, pass it over to him to get this started.
This is very exciting. Okay, so if everyone who is here has access to your characters, you can familiarize yourselves with them while I just explain a little bit more about the game. So, Full Send is a game that's based on sort of disaster, adventure, mountaineering, exploration media. So, if anyone's ever watched films or documentaries like Free Solo, like Touching the Void, or is a big fan of kind of like books about mountaineering and expeditions, this is what this RPG is based on. So it's set in the real world, and it follows these climbers who are attempting ever more dangerous summits. I think that the genre has become very popular in films, and most people will be familiar with it. And it's about high time that we had an RPG. Now, just a few things that are different about this game than maybe other RPGs that you might be more familiar with. So rather than dice, Full Send uses cards in order to both resolve questions, conflicts, so on, and also procedurally generate the things that happen in the game, in particular the summits, the obstacles that the climbers encounter. In fact, it doesn't just use any deck of cards, it uses a deck of tarot cards. So the major arcana are used by me, the GM, Laurie, to generate the summit and to explain a little bit about what's happening and what the climbers encounter as they go up. The minor arcana, you guys, the players, will use in a trick-taking game. And you will play this little mini game as you role-play your way up the mountains. And you'll use what happens in the tricks to both compete against each other and try to help everyone make it to the top. So, if everyone who is playing cards now could maybe just quickly introduce your character and also say what your hand size is and what your luck is and what your special ability is, just so that I can then go and explain what those do. That would be really helpful. So does anyone want to go first?
All right, I will go ahead and start. I am playing Jesse Robin, who is an outdoorsman, hand size of 4 and luck of 3. And once per summit, I can look at any concealed card on the table to predict an upcoming obstacle. You may keep the secret if I choose. I can also pay 2 luck, I'm guessing? Or is that basically the Joker symbol? 2 cards.
2 cards.
To replace the obstacle with another, which you cannot look at.
Very good. So who wants to go next?
I'll go. My name is 20. My pronouns are she, her. I'm playing Ian. And Ian has a hand size of 5 and a luck of 2. And I'm guessing the special ability is just what's in the text on my sheet here. It says, when I lead in conquering an obstacle, everyone else in the group gets plus 5 points added to the sum of played cards.
That is correct. Yeah. So you have an ability that helps other people, rather than one that particularly helps yourself.
Got it.
Yeah,
Okay.
sorry, Lady S.
No, all good. So my name is Lady S. My pronouns are she, her, and I am playing Ellie Powell. I'm a newcomer. My hand size is 3. My luck is 5. And my special ability is at the start of an expedition, I may mulligan my hand, which is shuffling my old hand into the deck and draw new cards. Though I would draw 1 less card than I would have otherwise. And also, if I scored a few worse glory points on an expedition, I get the same number of points as the leader. Okay.
So you actually want to do badly, which is actually quite good for you. However, you want to make sure you do worse than everyone else without completely failing. Now, I will explain a little bit about the jargon that you just heard. So, your hand size is quite obvious. Your hand size is the number of cards in your hand. So, on the table, we have a little, I don't think people will be able to see this on the stream, but we have a little virtual tabletop playing card simulator as well. And there are a few decks. There's the tarot cards separated into different decks. So you want to draw from the minor arcana the number that is in your hand size into your hand. So the minor arcana here, I'm circling them with my mouse. Now, I will not be drawing hands. Instead, I'll be laying out the major arcana cards for us to generate our summit. Now, just because we're playing a shorter version of the game today, I've actually been a bit cheeky and I've picked out major arcana cards in advance, and I'm going to put them on the table in the setting that I so choose. However, if you are the outdoorsman, that doesn't stop you from looking or swapping them if you would like to. I'm not going to prevent you from that.
I don't need to manage to pull cards into my hand. I can click the cards, and then they just sit there on my screen.
Yes, they should be at their bottom area. Basically, you've drawn
They should
one.
be at the bottom of your screen.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. That was very weird because it's at actually the top of my screen.
Oh, weird.
Yeah. And I cannot see all of them, but as in they're cut at the top.
Well, I can. I can edit the table. Oh no.
I can recognize what the card is at least, so I'll take it,
Yeah, if you pick it up and you can look at it and then put it back down.
Yeah, because my immediate reaction was like, oh, are we using reversals in this? Because it looks upside down.
Don't reveal the summit quite yet. Oh.
Yeah, you guys didn't see that. Don't worry.
Don't know what you're talking about.
I literally didn't see it, so you're fine.
This is, by the way, I'll say this is actually the first time I've run this online, because I am a very much an in-person player.
Awesome.
I had another few playtest groups run it online, but I've actually never done it myself. So this is a new experience for me as well, despite months and months and months of playtesting this game. It's very exciting.
We'll all learn together.
Yeah. Okay. So, now that you all have some cards in your hand, I will tell you that I am running the pre-generated version, which is a section of the map of Everest in the game. So I've picked out some of the cards that actually belong in that map. Now, in the game itself, Everest is actually a very, very long summit, obviously, because it's quite big. However, I've only picked out 4 cards, and we may not play through all of them. I'll also be using a couple of books that I have on my desk to show you pictures and give examples if needed.
Awesome. And I will say basically, we are doing this is the main part of the game here. This is the actual summit stuff. There is character building where you're actually building relationships and things like that happens before you reach this point that we've kind of bypassed a little bit to get to the meat of it, the more interesting on-stream part of it. So basically just realize that there are some other stuff that we may reference things that we may end up basically that are actually outside of what we're in here. We'll see if anyone ends up dying. We may end up having to talk about relationships and things like that. So we'll see how this goes. All right.
Yes, we are demoing summits now, and that means we have to negate a lot of the more freeform roleplay elements of the game which come in the downtime, and also a lot of the character development. Now, I've explained to you your abilities that you have. I've explained to you your hand size. I'll get to explaining luck in a second. Before I do so, I have to ask, Lady S, you have the ability to mulligan your hand if you want to. So you may want to do that if you have a lot of low cards. You want high cards and you want face cards.
Oh,
if
that's
you
good.
have high cards, don't mulligan.
I can only see one of my free cards.
Yep.
If you click on them, they should turn around.
They are not. I just get a full white card if it's so.
Okay, draw another card. See if that works.
Hang on. Oh yeah, the other one works. So.
Okay, just draw the number of cards that you need to be able to see them.
Oh, now I see everything. Now I see everything. That's so weird. So I can just discard and get new ones in.
If you want to, or if you like your cards, you can keep them.
Except now I have the wrong number of cards.
I have to get rid of one of them anyway.
And where do I get rid of them? Do I just put them in the?
Yeah, just put them. Just put them to one side for now.
Okay, well, I'll make do with that, so that's... Thank you for working with my wonky settings. Okay, thanks for the explanation, and I'm sticking with what I have.
Okay, perfect. Alright, so... We're gonna start, I think, at base camp in Mount Everest. And actually, for those, there are multiple routes up Everest, and a lot of people climb, including not very experienced climbers, which, although every year people say that it's a bad idea, people still do go. It's very expensive to climb Everest. For those of you that are here, you've either invested a lot of your own personal finances, or you have a sponsorship, or you're looking to make some money as a guide or something else. But either way, you must have some serious financial backing behind you, and there are serious monetary incentives to make it to the top and to not fail. So I was wondering, obviously, we've just pulled random characters, but does anyone have any idea what might be motivating these kind of like characters you've pulled out of hats to make their way up to this very physically strenuous climb?
I'd probably say that Jesse, being an outdoorsman, has kind of decided that they want to basically experience all of these different mountains, basically like the tallest on every continent type thing, so they can get a good feeling for basically what it means to be what it means to climb a mountain. They want to be the little bit of everything. So they want to climb the tall mountain, they want to surf pipeline, they want to trek the Amazon. So they want to get all the experiences, and this one is just another one that they're adding to their bucket list, adding to their list, as it were.
That makes sense. So you're more, I suppose Jesse's probably very physically fit, but maybe not as experienced of a mountaineer as others on the mountain are.
Mm-hmm.
A bit more of a jack of all trades.
Yep.
But maybe you kind of understand, right? You're an outdoorsman. That means you understand kind of like the weather, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have the ability to maybe get a bit of a sense of what might be coming, even if you're not that experienced with this particular terrain. Does anyone else have anything they want to add, or would you rather sort of formulate your characters as we go up the mountain?
I think for Ali that they may have been working for a company, a big name company that did a lot of mountaineer gear and everything, but they're on the corporate side of things, even though they were physically active, and for some reason they were supposed to be supporting crew, and then they were like more or less, well, it would be really great, would get more experience and get trained and everything. And so I think they're very excited, but also kind of reluctantly like, why am I still at this job? It's really great, they're paying for it, but also what did I got myself into?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe you were like working as a medic or something, and then just decided, oh, may as well make it the whole way up.
Yeah, something like that, possibly.
I think Ian is probably the rich kid who doesn't want the trappings of business and instead is spending his inheritance on adventuring, and decided to become an expert climber.
Mm-hmm.
So
he's
climbing Everest because it's there, and because I don't want to be in a boardroom.
One thing with Eon is your class is the GOAT, which means you are sort of notably the best climber, or one of the best climbers on this mountain. You already have, and that makes sense, right? You know, Eon's this kid that could have anything he wants, but he just feels this cool and has had the resources and the time to really invest in building those skills. And already has a little bit of renown and respect. You know, people will look to you for leadership in this situation, and the worst thing that you could possibly do is fail. Maybe Eon's also had some kind of rough scrapes already, which would explain why your luck stat is a little bit lower. Now, to explain how the game works, I will reveal one by one the major arcana, the tarot cards. And on the major arcana, there is a number, which is the kind of the class, the level of the card. You will need to play cards from your hand. We'll play in a round. We'll decide who goes first at the start of each round. We'll play in a round, and you will need to play cards cumulatively from your hand which are high enough to beat the number on the major arcana. So let's say I play the Fool, which is 0. You only need to play cards higher than a 0, which you can easily do. If I play a card like the Star or the World, which are both cards where the number of them is over 20, you'll need to play multiple cards in order to beat that number. If you fail, you lose a point of luck. And if you lose enough luck, very, very bad things can happen to you. So I wouldn't recommend it. The other thing you want to consider is that you are trying to beat not only the obstacle, but also the other players. You want everyone to get to the top, of course you do. If someone dies or has a terrible accident, that's going to prevent everyone from summiting. However, you also want to be the one that gets the glory from this expedition. And so therefore, you're constantly trying, all of you, to play the highest value of cards and basically be the leader in the expedition. So these are the things that you'll have to balance. Obviously, you don't have enough cards to beat the 4 obstacles I have on the table on your own. You have the opportunity to draw cards after every hand is played. There are also some cards which might give you the opportunity to skip. And at some point, you guys can collectively get together and call for a camp, which will allow everyone to draw additional cards. But you'll all have to decide when you want to camp. Are those rules clear enough, or do we have any questions?
Sounds good.
Just quickly confirming for the numbers and the value of card that I take it the cord cards are like 11, 12, 13, and 14 points each.
The court cards are all equal to 10, except for aces, which are equal to either 11 or 1. You can decide when you play the ace if you want it to be worth 11 or 1.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, cool. All right. Well, without further ado then, I am going to reveal the first card. So I think we start on a sort of a sunny... Oh, by the way, outdoorsmen, at any point, you can look at one of these cards and replace them if you so choose.
Okay.
Which I would recommend you basically draw it into your hand and look at it, rather than turn it over on the table, otherwise everyone will be able to see it.
Makes sense.
We're starting on a very lovely, beautiful, sunny day in base camp. Now, the base camp of Everest is not actually a particularly pleasant place to be. It's messy, it's crowded, the air is thin, kind of smoky. And despite the efforts of, many, actually decades worth of climbing parties to remove trash from the mountain, still it's a very overcrowded summit. And so generally people want to get out as quickly as possible. You might also have people here who have begun to suffer from altitude sickness, who tried to make their way up to the summit and couldn't manage. There are also obviously press teams, support teams, Sherpas, who play an extremely instrumental role in enabling pretty much any summit of Everest. So it's a crowded and it's a bustling place. Now, you know that in order to get up to the next camp, which is Camp 1, you'll need to gradually acclimatize yourselves to the altitude, which may mean, climbing the same section of mountain time and time and time again. We're not going to do that today because we don't have enough time for that. But I will reveal the first card and I'll show you what your first obstacle is. Okay. So we have the Hanged Man, which has a value of 12. I don't know if there's any way to see this on the stream, if it's being shown or not. But I'm showing you the very cool custom cards that were designed for the game as well.
Let me resize that.
Now, in the context of Everest, the Hanged Man represents an obstacle called the Khumbu Icefall, which is a kind of an area of glacier which sort of stretches out for a very long way. But the problem with it is that it is absolutely covered in crevasses and also seracs. These huge ice blocks, massive blocks of ice that are kind of formed as the glacier moves. The glacier moves very, very fast, and could easily fall over onto the climbing route at any time. And many climbers actually on this section are just accidentally killed as these big blocks of ice threaten to fall over on them. You are going to have to traverse this ice fall. Luckily, at the start of the season, people come, like Sherpas generally, and the first climbing team as well, will come and will plot a path across the ice fall. We'll set up kind of teetering little aluminium ladders that you can kind of like climb up and use to get across. Nevertheless, it's a very sketchy traverse. So, we will start by playing some cards. And as you play cards, maybe you can talk a little bit about how your character is preparing for this traverse, how they feel as they cross it, and so on. Now we need to decide who plays first. So who's been up a mountain most recently?
Lady S and I just went up to the top of Rocky Mountain National Park, 11,000 plus feet.
Woo.
That's pretty close. Okay, but one of you's gonna have to go first. So who got to the top?
I'll defer to Lady S, who is a tarot expert, and I'll let her go first.
First 20. After all, you're the cool kid, so that makes sense that we would let you go first. See?
Send the newcomer first. It makes sense.
Okay, perfect. Well, you'll want to play some cards and use them a little bit to describe how you're traversing this ice fall. Don't forget, you want to play cards with a total value that beats 12, if you can.
Still have you, Lady S?
Yes, I thought 20 was going first, but I guess that was me, so I did.
Oh, no, I thought it was you.
Okay. Well, apparently I do not have enough caffeine in my system. Thank you, everybody. So that's fine. I can do the things that I may not go do as poorly as I'm planning to do poorly. So that's gonna be fun. So I think that Ellie is going to have been kind of really observant and know, at least on theory, that this is not as bad as it could be, but that we also want to be mindful and try to make the best of the good weather, if I remember correctly, and also that it's a little more manageable than other times it could be, but also like proceed carefully without lingering. And for the card I can play, so I think they're kind of assured, but at the same time careful. So it's kind of this, okay, I'm moving forward like consistently, but also not recklessly. I think that's their approach. And so where do you need me to play my card and put my cards that I'm going to be playing?
Yes, if you can just play them onto the table face up so we can see what you've played, that would be fantastic.
Okay, so I'm going to play the King of Pentacles for a value of 10 and the 7 of Wands. So this is also kind of where I get my feel of like, we're going consistently, as confidently, but also can navigating the obstacle as smartly as possible.
Yeah, I think that's very good. So that's a very high score. That's a high one to beat. So I think, maybe you start to take the lead in this first section of the route. And it makes sense because you've been on the support team for a while. Like, yes, maybe you've not been up the whole way to the top of Everest before, but you might have actually climbed this section or a part of this section, as this is an important route that people use to acclimatize themselves. So this is familiar to you, and you're a little bit more kind of like quietly confident in it as you go ahead. 20, would you like to go next? Because you're sort of next on the table if I look at it.
Sure. So do I need to beat then Lady S's score or the Hanged Man?
Well, now you're in a slightly difficult position because you definitely need to beat the Hanged Man. Otherwise, you could put yourself in danger. If you beat Lady S's score, you are in the potential to win the entire trick and therefore all the glory. However, because Lady S has put some quite high cards down, you might be expending resources that you might really need later.
Got it. Oh, hang on. If my hand size is 5, I should have 5 cards, right?
Correct.
That's correct.
Oh, I need another card. Okay. What are you? Okay. Okay. Can someone tell me what value a page has? I know I'm giving stuff away here.
10.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think all basically to use a rough comparison, it's a kind of blackjack rules. All face cards are 10, aces are 1 or 11.
Okay. Cool.
This is because
all
in the full game, there's sort of trap cards that you really don't want to win into your hand. So sometimes you might want to declare an ace to be lower than it is. But we're not going to play with these rules because this is a completely new group.
Got it. All right. Well, I think I've just played a 15. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Awesome. Ian doesn't need to be the best on this particular obstacle.
Yeah. You're happy to let the newcomer take the lead for now.
Correct.
Is this the first time that Ian has climbed this particular part of the route? Or is it just a sense of kind of, oh, I've seen this before, I'm refamiliarizing myself with it?
Let's say that Ian has in fact climbed this part before, but has not in fact made it to the summit of Everest.
Yeah. What was it that meant that he had to turn back prior to this?
He ended up with a bad bout of altitude sickness and couldn't continue. Like it you know, obviously you're gonna get altitude sick climbing at a certain height, but it wasn't something he could power through.
Nagging him probably.
Yeah. Now this is like his white whale.
How do the other two of you feel about having to kind of like share this summit with someone who's such an obviously famous climber? Yeah, he hasn't got back to the top. Have you guys interacted yet at all? In this moment, do you interact at all with Ian kind of hanging back?
I think Jesse's hanging back a little. Like, Jesse is a little awestruck because, like, he knows about everything, and so he's like, oh wow, I get to, basically my attempt to go up Everest is basically getting to go with Ian, and that's going to be an awesome thing to add to that list of accomplishments he's got, and being able to connect with and be able to guide him with it, and he's a little overstruck by that, and probably basically to kind of move into my he's going to kind of hang back and be like, wow, okay, I'm going to watch the expert at work and see how they accomplish things, how they do things. Like, he's got some experience. He's not, basically, hopefully he's not dumb enough to try to tackle Everest as his first, but he's at least, basically, Jesse is at least trying to basically trying to pick up something new here, trying to always keep his mind open, learn new stuff from such a great climber.
Would you like to play any cards with that approach in mind?
Oh yeah, he is definitely hanging back, basically taking it easy. He's like, this is a marathon, not a race, and so he's not going to try to prove anything at this point. Like, he can definitely tell that competitive spirit that's been pushing him this entire time is starting to stir, because you don't get to this point without having some of that. But he's like, okay, right, Visky, hold back right now. It's okay. We got this first one. It's just a start. We could do this. And then he's hanging back and watching how these people handle it. And he's like, I'm gonna basically when they start to slow down, that's when he's gonna make his move.
Okay. Nice. And are any words exchanged, or is it just quiet determination at this point?
I think he would basically be a little bit basically kind of trying to cheerlead a little bit, at least until basically unless Ian shuts him down. He basically he's very sensitive at this point to if Ian tells him to shut up and just climb, he 100% will. But he wants to be part of the group. He wants to basically he's like, I'm getting to do this. This is great. But at the same time, he understands that people like Ian have connections to these mountains that he doesn't. And basically, if he feels like he's stepping on toes and overstepping his bounds, he's going to be like, okay, let them get there. Let them have his connection.
Yeah. It's almost a feeling of entering kind of a bit of a sacred space, where obviously Everest is sacred, literally. But it's also something that, as you're right, like some of these people just have this obsession with summiting, and it's something that you maybe don't want to get in between or interrupt. Yeah, I totally get it. Okay, cool. On the screen at the moment, I can see you've played the 3 of Cups. Jesse, do you want to add anything to that?
I think we're beating it handily at this point, right?
No.
We're not?
You need to personally beat it.
Oh, basically, we're beating the obstacle, though, right? Okay.
No, you're not. You want to play above a 12.
I want to play above a 12? Oh, okay. In that case, let me throw that in there as well.
Okay. So that adds up to a 14. So you have all managed to traverse the Khumbu Icefall. Lady F, you won. Ali won. Therefore, weirdly, it is Ali, the newcomer, that actually leads on this section, treading confidently as the 2 slightly more experienced the outdoorsman and this kind of famous climber, Ian, follow in your footsteps. How does that feel, Ali, as you lead these 2 more experienced climbers?
Ellie is probably a bit surprised by it because we're really just trying to be smart about it. Because we also recognize that they're a newcomer, even if they've trained and were in support team before and patched up a few adventurers and more experienced maintainers that didn't always do the smartest thing, and sometimes it was just the elements. So I think that they're not really feeling cocky or anything. They're just like, okay, this is working so far. There's a little bit of pride in I'm leading, but also like taking things one at a time. We're surviving, it's going fine so far, and still being mindful of our surroundings. And if at some point somebody else move forward, they don't feel threatened. They're just like, I'm doing my job, nobody needs to be patched up, nobody has died. It's a positive.
All right. Well, and the good news is that you take that entire trip which means you take all of these cards. I'm actually just going to, because I know you've had some issues, I'm just going to move them over for you. And at the end, so that's your, these are now yours. You don't take them into your hands, but
Okay.
you do store them. I need to give you one more card. 1 second. You do store them, and then at the end
I
of
like
the
them
summit,
cards.
you'll add them all up, and you will add them to your glory points, which you can translate to money, to sponsorships, to fame, to concrete lifestyle benefits for your character. So that's good news for you, and not so good news for everyone else who has not won that drink. Okay. As we move on to the next obstacle, I'm going to ask everyone again, if there's anything they would like to do before the next obstacle. You all draw one card from the Minor Arcana to replenish your hand.
Okay.
So, if my hand strength is 5 and I played 2, I still only draw 1?
That is correct.
Okay.
Are there supposed to be blank cards?
No, if there's a blank card, that's a problem with the deck that I uploaded, so just draw another one.
Okay.
And discard the blank.
The issue I had earlier on.
Occasionally when you draw a card and then you draw another one, it unblanks it. It's a bit confusing.
Any second now. I'm getting all blanks. Uh-oh.
Okay.
Alright. Can anyone else see what this card is?
No.
Just costume, so you're not alone.
Okay. Maybe...
Try drawing from this deck. The complete deck.
There we go.
Here. And then if you get a Major Arcana, just get rid of it.
Got it.
Because I'm at
Alright.
4 cards and I can only see one from my old hand, and I don't see anything else. It's not sure what I'm supposed to do at this point.
Sorry. Basically, you should end up with 3 cards in it. Well, not 3 necessarily, but yeah, that deck is just blank right now.
Yeah, and
one works.
how can we get rid of the white one? Where should we?
We're just
dump
kind
them?
of stacking them in the corner.
There's a discard pile we've been creating.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful! There we go.
Try
Okay,
drawing
now I
from
can
this
see
one
cards.
that says complete deck over to the one side.
Yeah, that's what I did, and that worked. So now I have 3 cards again, and none of them were Major Arcana.
Good.
So I'll take it.
I've got a duplicate. Basically, I don't remember. Basically, I'm not as familiar. Is that a problem, or is that okay to have a duplicate?
It wouldn't happen in the actual game. And by the way, this is a community sourced like tarot deck setting for playing cards.io. So thank you very much to the person who created this tarot deck. There are obviously a few problems with it, but it's still very nice that they created it for free. So,
Yes, much appreciated.
Yeah.
I will
so-
draw another one to replace the. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
See if I can draw actual cards. There we go. That's an actual card. Okay. That's a duplicate for
Alright.
me. There we go.
Has everyone got the cards that they need?
Yes.
Now, is there anything that anyone would like to do before I reveal the next obstacle? You have 2 options. Firstly, the outdoorsman can, if you choose, look at the upcoming obstacles. Second potential is, if you guys feel like you're getting short on cards, you can call a camp, which will allow you to draw more cards and trade them with one another.
Okay. Basically, Jesse is moving on. Basically, at this point, he's still just kind of moving with the flow. He's not trying to interject or say, basically try to bring his own stuff to the table yet until he's a little bit more comfortable. So he's not going to look ahead quite yet.
I fully get it. Okay, perfect. All right. In that case, I am going to reveal the next card. Now, let me just see if I can find it in my little source book that I have in front of me. All right. So, we're hoping for a low card here, so you guys don't have to play 2 cards to beat this obstacle. And we did get the Chariot, which is number 7. Now, the Chariot is, in the game and Full Send in general, is a bit of a representation of a task that requires endurance, patience, kind of pushing through over time. And on this particular pre-gen, what it represents is a part of the route up Everest called the Western Coombe. Now, the Western Coombe is a relatively gentle valley. There's a glacier with sort of humps and dips that kind of go over the underlying strata of the coombe itself. And it is where these kind of like humps and dips occur, the glacier fractures into various crevasses. However, these are pretty well mapped. Some of them are narrow enough you can step across. Some of them are hundreds of feet deep, 70, 80 feet wide. They can be up to half a mile long. But they are predictable, and therefore you will know how to cross them. That makes it significantly less dangerous than the ice fall. However, it's long, it's hot, it's a hot walk, and it will take a long time for you to reach your destination. So, the winner of the last hand gets to play first again. So, Lady S, how is Ali tackling this obstacle? Are you going to try and win this trick again, or are you going to hang back a little bit more?
I think Ali is going to, be more steady, wins the proverbial race here, and carefully trudge around, because they're also they would also probably know that this is far from being the worst section, but that also, again, just being pragmatic about it and knowing it's still going to be a significant trek to go through that it's going to be steady, and they're not going to feel the need to necessarily win that. They're just happy to move through it, and get on the other side without being completely exhausted or having hurt themselves. So the Chariot being a 7, I'm going to put. I again got the 7 of Wands, and I'm just like, okay. And the 2 of Pentacles, which bring them to a 9 in that more steady going, trek.
Nice. So you've played cards equal to a 9. You have 1 card left in your hand at the moment. But you are keeping calm and heading up the Western Coombe, up this long, winding path. Leon, what do you want to do? How do you want to tackle this?
Question. If one plays a number equal to the card, does that beat it, or do you have to actually beat it by at least 1?
Meets it, beats it. It's the general rule.
Got it.
Okay.
Ian is going to kind of confidently take the lead.
Very nice.
And just, be like, all right, y'all, we got this. enjoy this part. It's pretty easy. There's more ahead.
This is the bit I think that you love. You just, when you get the wind behind you and you can just head on up, and you start to see kind of this whole view opening up behind you. These kind of long hours of walking and maybe even talking, conversing a little bit with the group is one of the best bits of exploring and an expedition like this. Okay, and Jesse, how do you feel about this?
So Jesse's hand, my hand rather, has definitely dictated something here, which I'm going to run with, which is Jesse just can't bring himself. Basically, like he held back on the first part, but he can't bring himself to just meet the obstacle on this. He has to, like, this is a long walk. This is basically endurance is one of his things as an outdoorsman. Like, this is the part that he excels in, so he can't just take it easy. He has to push through it. So he's going to have to kind of push ahead and basically kind of overextend a little bit here. Come on. Hip. There we go. So, nope, go back. Thank you. So that's a 14 total, or a 12 total. But basically, like, it just, that competitive spirit, which was stirring at the beginning, and then talking with Ian and things like that, has just made him want to push and basically want to be go a little bit harder on this one and just basically kind of take the lead and kind of basically try to kind of push through and be like, oh, okay, yeah, basically kind of be up there with Ian, basically kind of jostling a little with it because he's like, oh, this is what I could do. I can do this. I can hang with the expert climber for a little bit, and so he's gonna push it at this point.
Very nice, and it makes sense. You want to you want to prove yourself in this moment. Do you say anything? I think 20's not here, but do you say anything to Ian as you sort of push past into the top?
Basically kind of just grinning and being like, yeah, this is basically probably going to like bring in like some other experience he's gone through. Like, oh yeah, this is just like the time that I was hiking through the rainforest, basically hot, basically humid, basically know there was miles ahead, but just gotta keep going through it. Basically, who thought you'd be hot on Everest? Things like this, just kind of being jocular. But still basically kind of showing off a little bit in terms of, yeah, I've done I've done cool stuff too.
Yeah, you're not the only big guy on this mountain. There's, I've got some authority behind me too, kind of a thing. A little bit of machismo maybe.
Yep.
Okay. Very good. As you ascend up this western Kumen, you're heading up to your next camp. You get to take the trick. Again, no one loses any luck. We're only on our second obstacle. You will still have cards in your hand. So you can just drag the cards into, I basically recommend you just sort of drag them on top of each other and then just put them aside.
Yeah, we'll just...
Yeah.
Grab them over here.
Put them aside next to your seat.
I'll put them over there so they're not interfering with what cards I pull out. Since it's a little tight over here.
Yeah. Okay. Perfect. All right. Now we have reached about the halfway point of the section of the climb that we're going to do today. I'm going to recommend that you guys call a camp, and that's because I can see that Ali, you only have one card left. That means you could potentially be in a little bit of trouble. Also because on Everest there actually is a camp at this point, so it makes sense.
Cool.
And it will be a good opportunity to just show off that mechanic a little bit.
All right. We make camp.
Yeah. Does everyone agree a camp can only be made with the agreement of all of the climbers?
I concur.
I'm
Okay,
good.
perfect. All right
No one's gonna
then.
push us up the mountain tired.
So I think we're gonna take ourselves to I guess it would be Camp 2 at this point because we're just massively streamlining, accelerating this whole process.
We're teleporting all over
Um,
this mountain.
Basically, just a small section on the side of the mountain, much more kind of like chilly. Um, it is cold and the air is very, very thin. In fact, up here, even though you're not climbing, even just to sleep out here, you will probably need supplemental oxygen just to prevent your brain cells from literally just collapsing in on themselves as you sleep. Not a pleasant experience. Wouldn't recommend it.
No,
Kind of
thank you.
crazy that people climb Everest when they get stupid. They literally get stupider as they go up. But anyway, so you're reliant on this. So this is a bit of a mixed experience as far as camping go. It's not exactly like a nice weekend in a national park somewhere. Nonetheless, it is an important rest or a break for all of you. Now, here's how camps work. When camping, if you want to draw a card, you must share something that went wrong on the climb so far. So if something went wrong, either at base camp or on the climb so far, that perhaps you kept a secret that you didn't share with the group at the time, you can share that and you can draw a card. You can also share information about yourselves, speak about your lives, or confront other climbers if anything has happened so far that has made you raise questions or maybe irritated you. Now is your opportunity to raise those things in a more relaxed environment.
So Jesse probably is this something that Jesse is basically actually confessing to the group basically out loud, or is this something that I, as the player, have said basically stating about Jesse and basically revealing the weakness to the players?
It's something that I think needs to become apparent to the characters, either through Jesse actually admitting it or through something happening that clearly reveals it. And this is really because there's a lot more interaction between characters during downtime, but camps are a really good opportunity. I'm going to give you a little bit of game design insight right now. Sometimes it can be a little bit tricky to get players role-playing together in this game rather than individually. You'll notice I've been asking you a lot of questions so far. This is something that actually it happens in a lot of RPGs like D&D as well, but I find that if it's kind of quite a tactical game and people are kind of focusing on their own play and their own long-term strategy, that can be even more difficult. Which is why I ask you players a lot of questions and try to get you interacting with each other. However, a camp is a good opportunity to do that because you're basically forcing interaction between the characters as a way to get some benefit on the way back up. And so I ask you to share weaknesses, things that went wrong with each other, either verbally or through something that the other characters will be able to observe and interact with. That's the logic of the game and the logic of the design of the camp.
So I think that basically, given what Jesse pushed himself on that last obstacle, and didn't quite realize basically carrying all the tank and all the equipment, because you're packing up a lot of stuff when you're going up there. You're not just walking up there with just a backpack or something like that. You're carrying your oxygen, you're carrying your food, you're carrying your basically equipment and things like that. And so I think he's starting to second guess just how much endurance he has. And I think he's going to go to Allie because he's no way he's going to talk to basically show this weakness to Ian, especially after bragging earlier. So he's going to go to Allie and to kind of try to feel out exactly what the rest of the climb is going to be like in terms of is it all going to be that hot, that straight, that much walking, basically clearly showing that he's starting to feel like, hey, this is a lot. And all this is a lot with a lot. Is it always like this? Is it going to get not necessarily easier, but at least basically how much worse does it get? I think is what he would probably basically hoping that Allie as a medic would be basically more understanding and more willing to talk about that. And so he's kind of trying to appeal to Allie in that fashion, to be like, hey, so basically, do you feel better after you wake up? Like when you go to sleep? Basically, how much recovery? How many camps do we do on this? Basically, on this trip? How long do we go each day? Things like asking questions like that, like stuff he probably should already know, but he's starting to panic a little and forget.
Well, that makes sense. And what I'm going to say is that I think Allie would happily, reply
That's
to
adorable.
Jesse's question, but also, be like, not in a please, don't talk or don't waste your breath, but also like try to, be concise in response and be like, we want to manage our energy and we want to be mindful, and also be like, not tempering down Jensi's enthusiasm and saying that, the determination is a thing that says a lot, but also knowing their limits, because they may not say a lot about it, but Jesse would probably be able to glean that Ellie has seen really bad shit, in some previous partial climbs they did with as a medic.
Mm.
So I think they're going to be, it's both a mix of, being encouraging while also being like, be mindful of your stuff. And but she, yeah, that's probably how Ellie would reply to Jesse, and also kind of share that, it's kind of the experience and everything, and that we're not, they may even joke, oh, it's, in a way that even though they've done that as a medic before, that Jesse has also, based on whatever Jesse is sharing, that previous experience are also going to pay off, and a little bit of a pep talk in all the practical information being delivered.
Mm.
Yeah, Jesse will be very appreciative of basically the welcome pep talk and things like that, and he'll kind of be like, okay, all right, cool, yeah, we've long way to go, but we got this, all right. And then I think he will basically then spend kind of the rest of the evening kind of just trying to connect and feel what it is that brings everybody to this mountain. And I accidentally looked already, so I'm just going to go ahead and say that that's what like so he's going to connect to the mountain and try to feel out what the next section is based on what he could see, kind of his experience with weather and things like that. What he's like, oh, okay, skies are clouding up in that direction, so he's gonna look at try to predict what uh, the next thing is, and then after having done that, he'll go to bed.
Very good. So because you've shared the vulnerability, you can draw another card if you want into your hand.
Okay. Do you get 2 cards then, or just
No, you just get the one. You don't get to
Okay.
draw another card.
Okay, so I drew 1 already, so I'm at 2.
Yes. Well, you get to draw a card automatically after every.
Oh, okay. So I do have 1 more. Okay.
And then you draw a card when you camp. Would anyone else like to share something and draw a card?
I
So
think. Oh, go ahead.
Clarifying question. You have to share something in order to draw a card.
The second one, yes.
To draw a second card.
Understood. So I can draw 1 to start with at camp, and then you have to share to get another.
Yes, that is correct.
Understood. Okay, go ahead, Lady S.
I was going to say I didn't figure that out because I didn't draw any cards since camp started. So I take it I can draw 1 card, and then it's my character can share something and draw a second one.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's correct.
I think my character may have shared more, but after talking with Jesse, they realized they don't really want to dwell on some of the stuff that has happened, So they're kind of like deciding against that. They shared some and supported Jesse, but otherwise they're kind of like, yeah, I'm not really in the mood to reminisce on some of the bad stuff that has happened.
Mm. Nice. That's fine. They leave you with 2 cards in your hand. And Jon, how do you feel?
I'm feeling pretty good. I think Ian's gonna play it pretty close to the breast for now.
Mhm. Very good. All right. It's just kind of a prickly group, still getting to know each other. Jesse, obviously, the most sociable. But otherwise, everyone is pretty dead set on the summit, it feels like, and pretty dead set on earning a little bit of glory in the process. Now, I'll explain quickly another mechanic. I don't imagine that you guys will want to use it at this moment in time. This is a mechanic that's really designed for if people are struggling to get their whole party up a summit and one person is really behind, which is that you can trade cards with each other. You may trade any number of cards with each other at a camp. However, you are not allowed to reveal the cards before they have been traded. So you must put them face down on the table. The other player has to take them, and those trades are final. So you can tell people what the cards are, but you can't actually physically show them the cards until traded. So it's an opportunity to place a little bit of trust in your climbing companions, and it's also an opportunity to maybe get ahead if you want to. Does anyone want to trade any cards at this moment in time?
Yeah, I'm good with the tab.
So Jesse is going to basically, given what he's seeing on the mountain, basically either this is like the next morning or something like that. We'll call it that. And so he will speak up a little bit and be like, "Hey, I'm seeing basically you're gonna have to. I don't have the book in front of me, so I can't tell what that card actually goes to weather-wise, or what he would warn them is coming, because he's gonna be like, hey, it looks a little bit harder than what we've just come through. I would say twice as hard as almost twice as hard as what we just came through. So if you're does everybody have everything they need? Does everyone have the appropriate amount of cold weather gear or cleats or things like that? And being like I've got enough to make it through, but it's going to make that last bit basically dangerous, because he's looking at his equipment and be like, okay, it's going to be might be a little low for the last one, but making sure that everybody else feels that they can handle an obstacle that is double of what they just went through, almost double. And so I don't know how Ian and Allie would feel about that, looking at their equipment, as it were.
Now, I want you to bear in mind that if you allow Ian to lead in an obstacle, everyone gets +5 points to their score.
Oh.
So imagining that you might need to beat, let's say, a 14, you would actually only need to play a 9 if you allowed Ian to lead.
Got it.
So that is a strategy you may need to employ on your next obstacle.
Okay.
However, we will now move in. It doesn't seem like anyone wants to make any changes or trade any cards. So I will
Jesse
now
tries.
Everyone's got their poker faces on. This is what I love about this game. Is like you always get these players that like really trying to get everyone to the top and help out, because there are mechanical benefits to everyone getting to the top, or there's big disadvantages if someone doesn't make it, which I don't think we'll have to go through today, because I think we only have time for one more prompt, sadly. But also, people do get their poker faces on, because ultimately there is that drive to do better than everyone else. There is that drive to lead. Okay, I will now reveal the next obstacle, which is death. So, the death card is a score of 13.
Based on what Mark said.
Yes.
I will.
So it's a score of 13. And what this is, I think, is this is a very, very steep part of the route. It is a cliff face. It is extremely dangerous. People can slip off. People can get seriously hurt. But it's also just an awful test of your raw kind of like energy and ability to just push through as you have to hang up these cliff faces. And you can see as you go up, like, you start to see there are kind of like frozen bodies, there's bits of abandoned equipment, people that have just given up, that haven't been able to make it down, that have died in the climb or of exposure to the elements. And so the further up this route you go, the more you are confronted with the danger that you have put yourselves in on this mountain. Now, Jesse, you won the last obstacle, so you can play your cards first.
Okay. So basically, Jesse's gonna basically look at that. Basically, it's gonna be like, okay. Basically, he's seen this coming, and so it's just he's prepared for. He's trying to prepare for it mentally. Obviously, it's gonna shake him a little bit because this is a little bit too much death. Basically, this is a little bit more like, you hear about people dying when they go surfing. You hear about people dying when they go out hiking, but you don't have to pass those in order to do those activities. Like, the beach isn't littered with dead bodies. And so he's just like, whoa, okay, this is a little freaky. And so he's gonna try to, like, he's trying to meet himself out just enough to get past this, but isn't going to be trying to show off or anything like this, because this is going to be kind of a somber moment for him. This is all kind of becomes super real, as it were. And basically just kind of takes a deep breath and just kind of goes.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Yeah. So you've played cards equal to... I actually have my glasses on to look at what you say. What's that underneath?
It's the ace. It's an ace, so that should be exactly 13, unless I'm...
That's exactly 13.
Yes. So he is expending no more than he has to get through this.
Yeah. Very strategic. Okay. Yeah, and so is this the first time that you have, I guess, confronted the possibility of death so closely? Is that why it's freaking you out? Mm-hmm. Have you ever had a close call before on a different expedition or a different one of your adventures?
Oh, he's definitely had close calls where he's gotten barreled on a wave, and he's basically been under for those few seconds which feel like eternity, and basically trying to figure out which way is up, and kind of did the, is this the end? But basically the adrenaline usually kicks in and basically pushes through it. It gets that fear reaction, and basically that helps to push through it because it's short. Basically, it may feel like forever under the wave, or it may feel like forever in that hike. Basically, that short moment of a short fall or a short stumble or something like that. But it's more basically adrenaline can help push through it, where here adrenaline is just going to get him deader. It isn't going to help here, and so he's kind of basically a little bit like, oh okay. And he's trying to try to hold back, which is why he's very, very conservative on the basically on how much effort he's putting out. Because this is a bad place to freak out, and he knows that, but there's still a small part of him which is going, oh, okay.
Yeah. And also, it's so hard to breathe. That's the other thing, you know? If you're already kind of freaking out a little bit and then you just can't get enough air in your lungs, that is just a total recipe for disaster. So you have to work very hard to control yourself and your body. Ali, it's Lady S, it's your turn to play next. So how is Ali approaching this obstacle?
I think that's the highest, the furthest Hallie went so far on that climb, and I think it's going to be difficult for them because they lost. They didn't make it clear when they talked with Jesse, but that's one of the places where they lost somebody in the previous time they were there when they started as a medic. So it's kind of like it's struggling with their own demons and their own memories, even though they kind of know it's a dangerous place. It's like they know they can pull through now, but it's really like more the dealing with what happened before, and so it's a mix of really psyching them up, kind of wanting to make it for those who didn't, and also this is really trying to move through it, and they're going to be able to do that, and I think they're gonna surprise themselves when they're doing that. And yeah, putting Knight of Pentacles in the Knight of Pentacles.
So once again, you're actually aiming pretty high on this.
Trying to survive here.
Yeah. Now you have no cards left after playing this.
Yeah. It's
So,
better fall on my ass, so
yeah. I will say strategically there is another option, which is you could keep your 6 back, and you could hope that Eon plays cards higher than a 13, which would then add a 5 to your score. But you then are reliant on someone who has not yet played.
Okay, well, that's good to know for future reference.
However, you're sticking with it. You're going straight on. I like it. All right. Yep. That puts you in the lead. Okay. And so that is you've had these kind of like close encounters with death, and it's something that is very, very close here, and it's shaken you, but you are finding that strength within yourself and pushing through. And so finally we have Eon. Eon, is this where you turned back last time, or was it even higher up that you had to turn back?
It was higher up that I had to turn back. But there's no denying the power of seeing those who tried and didn't make it. That's an emotional experience. And Ian is hell-bent on making it through this, and so he's starting to marshal the power reserves and is gonna push to lead up this obstacle.
And you've played cards equal to a 17?
Yeah.
Okay. So you've defeated Ali by 1. And so yeah, she's maybe a little bit lost in thought. Yeah. How do you pass? How do you pass Ali? Like, what does Eon say? Do you do anything, or do you just start picking up speed and storming ahead?
Well, he's not trying to be a jerk. He just is determined, and he just, he could see she's determined as well, but he, just walks on by, but not to be a jerk about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. Well.
Wait a minute. You had 18, didn't you?
That's what I counted, that it was an 8 of pentacles.
That is an 8.
Oh, is that
I
an 8?
miscounted.
Oh,
Yep.
sorry, I didn't see. That's on me.
Yep, that's okay. But let me say it this way then. He's like, all right, this newcomer's got it going on. I'm going to follow her lead and be right behind her. How about that?
Ali, you're absolutely making your name on this mountain then. I apologize. Yeah, I thought that 17 beat an 18 because I'm really good at math.
It's
I
okay.
thought
I
it was
thought I
a
wasn't
6.
being wrong. I was like, it looks like an 8 of pentacles, by tarot nature. And then I did the math and was like, oh, my math were correct.
Yeah. No, it has an 8 written on it as well. I just only looked at the 6 little pentacles on the side.
Yeah, he's got one he's working on and one on the ground, which is what makes the 8, which is, I mean, it's interesting. I love this guy. I love the art in these cards. It's great to look at and just spot little things.
Yeah, it is an adorable card. I think the pentacles are probably my favorite of my favorite suits. For what it's worth. Okay. Anyway, yeah, I think Ali, as you make your way up here, you are kind of secure in the understanding that at this point, you may have expended literally all your resources. You could be in really serious trouble on the next obstacle. However, you have certainly made your name, and you probably still have enough luck left in you that even if you lose a little bit of luck on this mountain, even if you have a narrow scrape, you'll be fine in the end. So you take the second trick. So I'm going to just drag all of these cards towards you. So these are all just points I have. Okay, there we go. All right, so we have 2 tricks here and 1 trick down here. Okay. All right. Now, it is just past half past. I know there was a plan to finish up the kind of like play demo section at half past. Are we still on for that plan, or do people want to?
Basically, I will pass that. I will pass that back to you and be like, I'm willing to basically talk for a half hour after whenever we end. But I know that it is much later where you are. And so you may have a harder cutoff. We're probably another 15 minutes for the last obstacle, given how long these have taken. So it would push us out to another 45 minutes total. I also don't know if 20 or Lady S have cutoffs that they want to get to. If they want to finish this out.
I am fine to stay and play, but if you all need to get to the talking bit, I'm also fine.
I think.
Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we just? I think I cut you off as you were speaking.
Lady S, were you saying something?
I was saying I was okay with sticking around if that worked for other people, or I'm happy to do whatever our guest GM feels comfortable with. I used to live in Europe. I get it.
Well, how about this then? I'm going to reveal the last obstacle, and we'll just play a hand, and then rather than everyone individually role-playing, we will kind of resolve that at the end of the hand, so it should only take a few minutes. And then we can talk a little bit about the summit and what a scoring might look like.
Sounds good.
So, the last card is the Sun, which is a 21. Now, this is the one that I was thinking people might want to swap. However, I think what this represents in this moment is just a total... I think maybe actually, you know what it is? I think you get to the summit, all of you, and you look out and you're just too exhausted to even snap a picture. Take a couple of pics, but there's a queue of people behind you. There's a group with you as well. Like, you've not done this on your. It has to be said, because we're role playing and
Doesn't that say 19 on the sun?
yeah, it does. I can't read properly.
And I'm reading upside down.
Yeah.
Too, and I was like, I didn't even check the number. Like, the sun is 19 major arcana. I'm just working on muscle memory here.
It's a big
Yeah.
number either way.
Do you know what's the worst thing? I have a degree in archaeology. Like, I should be able to read a numeral. And I also look at tarot cards all the time. I've designed like 4 games that use tarot cards. And I think it's the dyslexia. I still get all the numbers, like all of the numerals jumbled up in the wrong way. But anyway, yeah, I think it's, what it is I do want to say this, by the way. We've role played this Ascent of Everest, but no, like, Western climbing teams don't get up Everest without a group of Sherpas. And it kind of has to be said, like, you are not alone. There are people with you who are doing a lot of the heavy lifting, and who are kind of often treated a little bit as this sort of set dressing, which I want to kind of avoid in the way that we talk about mountains like this. But yeah, there are people with you. Someone takes a photo of you. You look down. You're too tired to really feel like you've achieved much. And then you look behind you and you're like, I have to go all the way back down now. You can't stay here. That exhausting climb, you have to do the exact same thing in reverse. You have to make it all the way down. And it just feels almost impossible. But we can play our cards and we can see what way it falls.
Yeah. Jesse's just exhausted. He's just kind of basically just almost slipping, tripping. This has pushed him beyond what he thought he could do. Basically beyond what he thought he could do, and then beyond further that, and now he's realized he's made a mistake.
This is a lot to bite off for your first jaunt up a big mountain,
His overconfidence has gotten the best of him.
Oh, you've played the chariot.
Oh, that's
actually a major arcana. But because it's a 7, I think we can just say that it's a 7. I don't mind that, unless you want to redraw and see if you can get a higher card.
That's fine. I'll basically, that feels like the appropriate response from Jesse at this point, which is just he's gone too far. Basically he's pushed too hard. He's made it to the top. Basically, like, he wanted that goal, he wanted that checklist, and now he's paying for it. Now he realizes, oh, this hurts. This hurts in a way that he can't just walk off. He can't just turn me. Basically, there is no emergency backup that can get you off of Everest once you realize you screwed up. You're stuck with it. Either you're getting basically you have to get back down. He can't pull an emergency ripcord, which he's used to basically being able to prepare for that and have that backup. And I think even in his mind, he still had that backup. Like, even when he carries satellite stuff when he goes on long hikes and things like that, or basically knows there's nearby hospitals and gets that information. And he just kind of assumed he had that safety net here, and is now realizing he doesn't. It is now just kind of, it's setting in, and it's just basically despair. Like, how do I get off of this? How do I get out of here?
Yeah, I think maybe you turn your oxygen meter up a little bit to try and get some more air in. Maybe you turn it up a little bit too much. You become lightheaded. You start stumbling, and you're gonna make your way back down, but you're gonna lose a luck point, which reflects the number of times you can really get in over your head on a mountain before your luck eventually runs out.
Mm-hmm. Unless you get
so
saved.
True. Lady S, would you like to play card? You can draw. You do have one card you can draw.
Well, I mean, beating a 19 with a single card wouldn't be possible anyway. So I think that they're going to be like a split second. Could I even push forward? And they're just going to be like, no, it's kind of like I've made it this far, I've made it farther than before, and also why on earth did I get myself into that, kind of deal. So, but there's also still some pride about the fact that they were able to push beyond the previous one. That was a really sticky point for them and bad memories. So it's like it's still a win, even if they're like, there's no way in hell I I go further,
Yeah. You and again, like, you still have plenty of luck. Actually, as a newcomer, you've got, you've got luck to spare. You can make it down. I think maybe someone helps you down.
Yeah,
maybe
that sounds
someone
about
from
right.
Team, or a Sherpa. Yeah, just helps you down to the next camp. And as you just kind of like huddle in camp 2, you feel awful and tired. But you realize you have done this, you have achieved this, and you've really made a mark as well. You pushed yourself extremely hard, and you showed what you could do. How does Ian react to this obstacle? By the way, did you draw cards into your hand after the last obstacle? I think you should have 3, not 2.
You're right. I should.
Yeah.
And Ian is feeling pretty good.
Huh.
Oof.
Showing us why they're the goat.
Why they're the goat. Yep, that's right. He really paid attention to marshaling his reserves carefully, and has made his goal. He, summit or bust, but also not being stupid. So he's doing okay. He's feeling really good, and the sky was the limit, and we made it.
Nice. Amazing. And maybe it's you that helps Ali down.
Ian would be happy to help Ali down.
Wow, thank you.
So you take the trick, Ian, and you do not lose a point of luck. And that is our summit.
And actually, him taking it actually gives me, because it gives +5, right?
Yes, that's true. It does give you
Everybody got +5.
So I actually managed to not basically seeing Ian do it, basically manages to just it gives me just enough energy, just enough wherewithal to actually get back down the mountain under my own power.
Accidentally tactically beneficial. Amazing. So
You're
don't
welcome.
even lose luck.
Awesome.
So that is a little bit of a demo of some of the core mechanics of Full Send. I will just say, because you played kind of very raw characters. So in the next period, if we were to do downtime, you would have the ability to spend your points. You would be able to spend them on training to increase your hand size, making friends, to increase your secret second health bar called Will to Live, that only activates when you run out of love. Luck. And you also could spend it on gadgets and gizmos and so on that provide certain. As you can see, like, with quite a blank hand, it's quite tactically straightforward. You're just trying to play the highest number, but as you build your character out more, you get certain other abilities you can do, ways to look at other people's hands, ways to look at the table, ways to switch things out. So that's what we would do. But I'm really intrigued to hear what you guys thought of the game. If you had any impressions, if you enjoyed yourselves. I hope you had fun.
I had a blast.
It was a lot of fun.
Yes,
And I
very
think
much so.
the way you still ask us questions, even though, I recognize that it was a short bit and that there was not as much, RPing and relationship building, but still the way you kept asking us questions still, at least for me, allowed me to still flesh out my character a bit on the fly, even though it was pre-generated. So good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, I like the mechanics of the game. Like using the tarot cards is interesting. And I don't think a lot of people understand that tarot cards, which I didn't learn until recently, thank you, Lady S. Tarot cards were a playing card game when they originated, and they weren't used for divination until later. So it's fun to see them used like authentically as a game. So I like that a lot, and I like the idea of using your points in between obstacles, in between expeditions, to flesh out your character more and to help with the RP bit.
I really enjoyed the way that you guys played your characters. I think, yeah, it was really nice how you could start to see storylines developing even over the course of a very shortened summit. And I think, you come out of your first summit really with a basic grasp of the mechanic, and then just an inkling of what your character's life might look like, what their goals might be, where they might want to go going forward, and you could really follow that into a campaign, or you could leave them. You could leave them be. You could say, "I'm never getting back on that goddamn mountain ever again."
That's 100% Jesse. Jesse's surviving barely, and it's like, cool, check that list. Not done with mountains.
Jesse's like, I'm going back to extreme surfing.
Yeah. Give me something safe. Maybe skiing down mountains. That is gonna get me on, get me off. He enjoys the connection to the mountain, but doesn't want that level of risk.
Let me get on a chair list.
Exactly. But yeah, this guy, I really. We'll talk a little bit more. But this guy, this is a great. I love this introduction. It worked really well.
Mm-hmm. I really appreciate you guys taking the time, and I know it's not like, there are a lot of RPGs that are a little bit like board games. There aren't a lot of RPGs which are like card games. So getting yourself into that headspace where you're trying to balance between RPing with other people and keeping your poker face on is difficult. And once you actually get into it, it's really fun. But I appreciate that you kind of have to jump in feet first, and really take the plunge. And you guys did, and I really appreciate that. So thank you for being such great players.
Thank you for GMing for us. This is cool.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm going to jump out of the call now and let you and Mark have your discussion.
All right. I will switch us over to a little bit more focused screen here. Give me a second. Hopefully. Hey, I made it. You made it. I think we have audio. Maybe. Let me unmute that so we should be able to hear you.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Okay, excellent. We've got you coming through on stream. Oh, I'm muted on stream. So let me actually fix it so that I've gone. Have I gone muted? Because
I can hear you, but I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's this particular one is acting weird, and I think my mic is going to be slightly off. Give me a second. Let me see if I can figure out what happened there. Good. Yeah, you're hearing, but you're hearing, basically, it's showing me you're hearing me through the video capture device, which is interesting. Let me see if I can't force it to be correct. Okay. There we go. Now you should be hearing me through my actual microphone. Hey! Welcome to this game. Hey, Lightning. Glad to have you here. All right, so Laura, basically, thank you so much for being willing to come on here, walking us through this. Basically, it's been great. Basically, you talked a little bit about let me let you do let's do first things first. Basically, go ahead and basically, obviously, you've got this coming out on Kickstarter tomorrow, I believe. So go ahead if you want to go ahead and basically hype that up. Talk about what's going on with the Kickstarter, what's happening with that.
Yeah, so I've been working on this game now for nearly a year, and we are going to take it to crowdfunding this week. The aim is to launch tomorrow. We have one thing to sort out on our back end, so hopefully that will be sorted out overnight, and then we'll be able to launch tomorrow at 6:30 British time, which is whatever time. I don't know what that is.
It is 5 hours earlier Eastern time, so basically for the East Coast that would be 1:30, and then basically it's 3 hours earlier to Pacific, so that's 8 a.m. Pacific time. So
we have some really exciting stuff planned if this book funds. I think I'm pretty early reviewers I did send it out to. I think it's very annoying when Kickstarter are like, oh, this game is like nothing else that exists, but it really is. It's a very unique game. It's got some of the best of my favorite card games. It's got some of the best elements of my favorite card games. It's got some of my favorite things about RPGs. It's got a little competitive edge. It'll be friendly for people that want to role play more, and also people that want to keep it a little bit more on the card game side. We're going to have a full book that's going to look really fancy, that's designed to look like a climbing book. We are going to have a custom set of the major arcana, and we have a stretch goal to make a whole tarot deck. We have a stretch goal to develop a solo mode. If you're in the first 150 backers, you actually get a free patch, which is exciting. So definitely follow the Kickstarter, and then either tomorrow or the day after, but hopefully tomorrow, when it goes live, please consider backing it, because I personally rely on Kickstarter to make my games, and every single game that I've made has been because people have believed in it and have let me make it, and I'm really excited to make this one. So yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Yeah, basically, I love the book cover and basically the way everything looks. So basically, the patch that's the early bird reward also looks great. Basically, to kind of dive into some of the stuff you talked about there. Basically, obviously, mountaineering is a passion for you. Basically, I could tell basically something you're interested in. Basically, something have you done a lot of climbing yourself? And basically, what caused you to want to basically take that energy from mountain climbing and bring it into the RPG space? I'm always interested to see interesting and unique areas that people really haven't basically captured. And basically, you see stuff about vampires and other stuff, but mountaineering is definitely a new one for me.
I like to climb. I'm more of an indoor climber, and I'm a very keen skier. That's my sort of background. But I think as a designer, what I enjoy doing is taking bits of media and thinking, why are we so fascinated by this? What does this say about us, about the kind of people we are? How can this become a game? So, my last game was about like the death game genre in media, like Squid Game, like Hunger Games. It was really popular. I was thinking, why are people so fascinated with this? And I personally think it's because people saw, a small number of rich people allow a lot of other people to die during COVID, and that kind of created this fascination with the death game genre. But then to say, okay, well, what are the unique design challenges of this genre? So with that, project, it was how to make PvP fun. And I think with this project, it's how to combine something that's very technical with something that's, you know, got kind of an extreme adrenaline element to it. And also to, yeah, talk about the kind of like beauty of these natural places. And how can you do all of that? And I found that card games are the best way to emulate that kind of a technical challenge, and I really enjoyed the challenge of designing for it. So it was, yeah, obviously I have a passion for it. I love reading about it. I love mountains, I love nature. But I also really enjoy a unique design challenge, and when I see a genre that no one's done in an RPG yet, I will always try to do it, because and occasionally they don't work, but sometimes they do, and then I try to bring those projects out, because we're developing an art form when we're designing RPGs. It's such a new form of media. So.
Oh yeah, but very definitely. It's basically every RPG, whether it's basically, even if it's just basically something for 5th edition or the new Dungeons and Dragons thing or something else, all of it has something of the person who created it in it, and something basically there's something you're wanting to tell. You're basically, it's kind of interesting. You may or may not be actually painting, but you're definitely providing the art supplies, and what supplies that you provide are going to change the result of what people are going to create here. Like, I love the fact that you've used basically the tarot as a really interesting way of capturing that, because people always, like, some of the cards, when you flip over a card that says death or the Hanged Man, there are visceral reactions that players are going to have to seeing those, like the sun and things like that. And you've done a great job with basically the modified arcana that you've got, basically capturing some of this imagery as well. I'm curious, basically, when did you stumble, basically what drew you to the tarot as opposed to a normal deck of cards or a custom deck of cards for this game?
Well, I design a lot of tarot games. So the first ever game I actually made was A Hack of Royal Blood by Grant Howitt. And that was an Arthurian game that used tarot. I also have a solo rule set that uses tarot. And I think what I like about it is that it's like the imagery is a little bit more evocative than a classic deck of cards. There are also more cards, so you do get a little bit more range. But also, like, it puts people into a place where if you're drawing from a regular deck of cards and you're drawing a prompt, it doesn't feel that different to just like rolling on a table and looking up the result in the table. Whereas with tarot cards, there's a bit more kind of like tangibility to them. There's something else there. There's the imagery. There's also the meaning of the cards, which is interesting. The meaning of the cards helps to write prompts, and it also provides certain design challenges, which I recently wrote a blog post about. Like, you take a card like the Star, for example, which is a very good card. It's a celestial card. It, you know, talks of kind of renewal and hope and good things. How do you turn that into an obstacle? And you have to think very carefully about the ways you can design around that. My other tarot-based games, by the way, are games called The Witch of the Westmoreland and 200 and a Bay, which is a tarot-based Arthurian wife simulator.
Awesome.
So it's available on my itch, and I think they're half price now if you want to check them out.
Ooh. Yeah. I will definitely have to check those out. We'll basically have to get the link from you basically to your itch so we can make sure we include that in the video. So if you're watching this on YouTube later, check the description down below, and we'll have the link to the Kickstarter down there, and we'll also have the link to the itch. I'll
say it's my itch is just my name, Laurie O'Connell.itch.io, so it's nice and easy.
Awesome. Basically something else that I also like, when you're talking about making this a game, thank you, 20, for posting that link in chat. Awesome. But because it's a game, because it's a card game. You talk basically, you came from the Squid Game background earlier, that PvP, and you've kind of brought some of that same energy into this, and less extreme. Obviously, people aren't kicking people off of mountains, hopefully, but basically, you still made it so that the game is. You're still thinking about, I want to win, I want to lead, and you're encouraging that. I find it interesting because that's a lot of time that's subtext at a role playing table. It's a lot of times it is, you're like, oh, I want to be the one to land a big hit. I want to be one to solve the puzzle, and basically that is the drive. A lot of people's unstated driving thing. There's a little bit. You've made that part of the game here as well. So. Basically, is that something that it's something you came from a design experience? Is that something that came from your mountaineering experience? Like, okay, people on the mountain are super competitive, but they're also not. Basically, they also want to make sure everybody makes it up. Or basically, what led you to that kind of co-op competitive nature for this?
Yeah, I think when you have a situation where, on the one hand, you have people that are very passionate, and then on the other hand, you have people that live in capitalism. And those two things, I firmly believe that people are very passionate and empathetic, kind of naturally. But, you see this in climbing media all the time. What is it about? Like, how do you become famous? How do you get the sponsorships? How do you get the money? You are an individual, and for something that I think is fundamentally a team sport, that is a contradiction. Like, I mean, going on unless you're climbing solo, which on these expeditions people rarely do, you have to rely on each other. One person getting hurt could seriously harm other people, and also, you presumably want to support the people that you're with, but you also have your own. So it's a contradiction that I wanted to play with. And you're right, it's a contradiction that exists in any game, literally any game, because what are games? They're competitive. Whether you're competing with the table, whether you're competing with your own record, there's some kind of goal that people are striving for. And so I wanted to play with that and to bring it out. But I also think if there is an incentive to not help others, that makes the moments that you are actually going out of your way to assist your teammates more interesting. And in pretty much all of the playtests, there is a discussion happens at the table of basically, how can we get you, person that's obviously falling behind or has had a bad draw, to the top of this mountain without me fucking myself over? What am I willing to compromise to help someone else? And I think that is interesting.
Yeah, it's basically that dynamic of being able to basically, like, you're exactly right with it doesn't mean anything if winning isn't a goal for you. Basically sacrificing, hey, I'm willing to sacrifice this card so I don't necessarily win the next trick or basically take the next thing. If it means that you survive, like we saw with 20 and being the leader. If someone else has decided, no, I have to win these tricks, that means the fact that we're not getting the leadership bonus from the goat, and so you have to be willing to take that step back. And being willing to sacrifice that glory, that points, in order that everybody can get up there. Because you talked about playtesting. One of the things I really liked when I read through the playtest stuff that you sent me was that there's, like, a lot of times when you're playing a role playing game, the ending of the campaign or a player death is sometimes a fail state. It feels like it's an end. Basically, it's an end of the thing. Basically, the GM feels bad because maybe that they've pushed too hard and the players have fallen. A player has fallen, or the other players feel bad because they didn't rally to them. They didn't get to them soon enough. But it feels like from the start, like I talked about earlier, that this is very much a doomed mountaineering. You know that the end result is going to be death. Like the first line of the book being basically just being the fact that most career climbers will die on the mountain. Basically, that's a very, very interesting dark tone to set right from the start. So, basically, is that something that you wanted? Basically, is that something you wanted to come from a different genre perspective? Is that something you felt that basically that is kind of inherent in basically with the mechanics and everything else? With basically or something that's inherent to mountaineering, and you can't have one without the other. You can't have this glory of the ascent if there isn't the basically the consequences of death and defeat.
There is there's a couple of elements to it. I've never felt that way about character death in my games. I don't consider it to be a fail state. Player death, yeah, that would be a problem if that happened. Character death, I'm okay with. But it's because I think, but what that flows from, you're right. It is the fact it's a different type of play experience. It's not a power fantasy. And it's something where you acknowledge that like death is a part of an interesting life cycle of a character. And so if you track, like I was talking about my solo tarot game earlier called Corner in the Bay, that's a game where you start as a pregnant woman in Arthurian England, and so the chance that you just die in childbirth by the end of the game is extremely high. But that's a meaningful part of the experience of that character. Obviously, yeah, you can't really do the death game genre emulation if you don't accept character death as being fundamentally essential to the way that the game works. There are some popular games that try to emulate that and don't do that, and I think they really fail. Specifically in that regard only. And with this one, with the mountaineering game, it's particularly, it's notable because if you're someone that watches a lot of climbing documentaries or you read a lot of books, like I've just been reading this book, Into Thin Air, which is really good. I would recommend it. But some of the characters in this book, like, they actually survived this particular mountaineering disaster. And then I was just looking them up to do some more research for the same project, and they just die, they just die elsewhere. Like, there's this constant understanding of like, well, you've chosen this extremely dangerous vocation. That does mean that you have to accept death as a bit of a natural part of the life cycle of a climber. And that's something that you can then play with. There are strategies in the game that rely on death, because, for example, this is something that we didn't get to, but in downtime, one of the things that you can do to make your life a bit easier is you can take on debt. Downtime is basically a question of balancing your income, your hobbies, your relationships, and your passions, and you can never really have time to do them all, which is basically just an emulation of real life. But you can take on a lot of debt, and it's a very legitimate strategy to just take on a huge amount of debt to make your character better, spend on equipment and training, knowing that you'll probably die before you have to repay it, and people have done that in the playtest several times, and it's like, I just call it the debt method. Like, it's a valid method, it's a valid long-term strategy, you can do it, and it's just a part of the game. You just accept it as part of the play experience.
That's awesome. Just the idea, like, basically, as long as I can get that last, as long as I can get that last high, as long as I can summit that next mountain, I don't care what it takes. Basically, as long as I can get there, and everything that happens after that, be it debt or basically even life itself, doesn't matter. I'm willing to pay that cost to get there. That's awesome. Basically, it's a great way of representing that. One other thing, basically, speaking about death and things like that, is one other thing that I read in the book is the fact that death isn't isn't a sudden end for the basically that there you have epilogues built in, and there are different epilogues built in for different kinds of what state you ended in, whether you retired as a legend or you died as another disaster on the mountain. Basically there are different levels for that. Basically you talked about playtesting a lot. You obviously done a lot of that with this. What are some great moments you've gotten from those character type deaths and things like that?
I think my favorite epilogue you can get is a documentary one. So someone making like a retrospective, and you have to do a certain number of summits to retire. But also, if you've done a certain number of summits, you become kind of like famous. You have enough renown. If you do die, you get kind of a special epilogue, which is called a documentary epilogue. I've had it, at one time, all of the players got together and recorded like little voice notes, like voiceovers for the documentary of this character, and then they found like a little slideshow of random like climbing images, like pictures of mountains. They just did a voiceover of it and then played it to the player at the next playtest session, which I thought was so funny.
That's great.
But also, yeah, there's also like a letter, like a writing epilogue where people write little obituaries, and those are nice because it's like little mementos of the characters. Sometimes, if you have a place that you play, you stick it on a wall or on a table or on a board or something, and then just keep those old characters with you as you go forward. So it's fun. It's a nice little element of the game.
That's great. I love it when players do that. Basically, when they get into it, they bring in, they start to do stuff outside of the game, like things like that, to make it more real, make it more interesting, whether it's letters or videos and things like that. So that's awesome. Is there any other moments you've had in playtesting which have been kind of stuck out to you and been like, oh, there was basically really kind of you wanted to provide a hook to it, somebody like, hey, here's this is what you're going to get when you get into this game, is a moment like this.
I mean, some of the most amazing scenes have been when you have a group of some people that are really familiar with climbing and some people that really aren't, and then occasionally like the character roles get split, and you'll have these just amazing situations just coming out through the role play, where you have like characters, literally just players that you try to teach other players about climbing so that they can role play their characters better. Well, the other player is role playing the character, like, don't tell me what to do, I know what I'm doing, stop mansplaining to me. Always extremely funny moments. We've also had some really silly games where we've taken the kind of like slightly dark tone, and some players just weren't up for that, so they just decided to make it really silly. And we had all these characters that have been like frozen in the ice, and then had decided, in the mountains, and had decided that they basically had to upgrade. They were all from like different time periods.
Oh gosh.
It was hilarious. And my favorite moments actually are in some of the downtime roleplay as well, which is extremely much more freeform. And you have different players take on different roles in each character's downtime scene. So, you might have one player playing a character's parent, you might have another player playing like a press conference full of journalists, or so on in the downtime scene. So everyone starts really investing in the other characters, because you're literally forming a part of their kind of like backstory and their downtime scenes, which is just it just really livens up the summit once you start to have a few downtime periods.
Yeah, basically we didn't really weren't able to get into downtime as much basically in the short thing, but basically I do like the fact that it's really interesting that once you hit that point of running out of luck, that you end up in that state, which I think is called touching the void. That it's at that point your downtime relationships become important and key, and that becomes your, this could use a video game term, that becomes your final health bar, as it were, basically to basically to do that. So you've got all that other management you've got going on, but you also need to, basically, it sounds like you need to also keep up your relationships and things like that to keep you alive, as it were. So it's the idea basically to help you, encourage you to keep doing the role playing and keep doing the building those connections from both a role playing standpoint and a game mechanic standpoint.
Yeah. And you can invest, you can not invest in your relationship at all, and you can just keep investing in building your hand size and just assuming you'll never run out of luck just by becoming a better and better climber. Or you can invest in relationships, which is, as you say, basically extra health, extra will to survive is what I've been calling it, this stat, which can get you out of scrapes. And you can just try and make as much cash as possible and then spend your way into all of this stuff. You know, if you're struggling to find the time to maintain your relationship, you can pay for a holiday. It'll be expensive, but you know, you can pay for that and get some free relationship bars with someone you want to have a better relationship with. But it's all a very complex balancing act, and it's a little bit of a mirror into the way that I think the kind of society that we live in impacts how we relate to our hobbies and how we relate to our kind of like careers and each other. But it's also just like an extremely fun little, like, almost like a management game on top of a like tactical card game. I guess it's like the base management bit of XCOM compared to the like mission bit of XCOM.
That's, basically it's great. Basically, it gives you, it's not just the mountain. Basically, there's that, basically how you're going to get up the mountain as well. And it works out. It works out really well, it feels like. Well, we will go ahead. Basically, it's probably been about a half hour, so I don't want to keep you too much longer, given the time difference that you're struggling with. I want to thank you so much for being willing to come on and basically at this late hour for you and talk to us about this.
I am
So I'll give you the floor one last time if you have anything else you want to say or pitch, and then basically before we we'll wrap up the stream here.
Kickstarter, full send. Please follow the project. Getting those follows in prior to launch really is instrumental to the success. And if you follow and then you also consider backing, that would be even better. I'm really ambitious about this one. I think it's a game that deserves to exist, and I think it's a game that will make you very cool when you own it. If you really want the project to succeed, please share it with a friend or post about it somewhere. If you have any friends that like climbing, that like exploring, that like to play card games, that might be interested in trying RPGs, please, consider sharing it with them and convincing them that they want to get on board with it, and that will contribute massively to the success of the project. And thank you so much for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Okay, bro, thank you. Basically, we obviously, we're basically, I'll use the Royal We to represent Lore Link here. Basically, we're obviously a toolkit for helping GMs navigate and build out their campaigns and plan them out. But we need awesome games that people are interested and want to play to make that exist, make that happen. We can't exist without awesome indie creators like you putting interesting games out there. And I would 100% recommend people pick this up, because it's basically, as you saw here, you can play it relatively short and play it more tactically, or you can blow it up into a much longer campaign where you've got these career climbers that you're following and their downtimes and their relationships. And so it's a great fit for, you're like, oh, I want to do something different with the group. If you want to basically you've noticed there's that tension in the group of competitive versus basically cooperative, and you want to give them an outlet for it, this would be a great way of being able to get that out there and let people see, oh, hey, actually we can actually put some of those tensions into words and get mechanically rewarded for doing it. So definitely follow the Kickstarter, back the Kickstarter. This guy, I know that 20's also posted your Blue Sky as well, so you can follow you for not only this game but future games as well. So basically, again, thank you so much for having you on there. Basically, again, one last thing. Basically, we are basically kind of plug our stuff. Basically, one last time, we're LoreLink. Basically, we have basically our own campaign management toolkit. If you want to check that out, we do have basically you can build out cool games like this. Basically through LoreLink, you can check that out basically on our website. Basically, we've got a free trial up if you want to check out a couple campaigns. You can start planning out your tracking your relationships and downtime activities and all the cool stuff that we've seen here in Full Send when you go pick that up on Kickstarter tomorrow. So thank you all so much for being here. Thank you so much for listening, and we will catch you all later. Good night.
Bye.